Oh, there were some people that were a little skeptical, and there were others that said, "Yay for the help." But I think the thing was is that they didn't understand, and there's a lot of players out there that do not. They're not the same as Entigrity. Matter of fact, when we were at a Thomson Reuters event, everybody was bemoaning anything that they were doing with offshoring because things just weren't working the way it was. And we had one person that said, "Oh, we had good luck with Entigrity, and so I called you guys immediately." And actually, I think with you and then Manish, we jumped on it as fast as we could, and it's had some up and downs, but now it's really firing on all cylinders. So it's pretty great to know that we got it all working within basically 2 years, and that's sometimes what it takes to train just one onboarding team member here in the States, especially if they're just out of school. Basically, we have 2 office locations about 70 miles apart, and that we were trying some remote work, and honestly, the remote work was tougher than even with the Entigrity, because you can't watch them and you watch the numbers, and there's just not a lot of cohesiveness there. But we were committed to trying the remote. We hired over the course of the same time that with Entigrity, we've hired about 12 workers, and out of those we have 0 now basically that are remote. But we started off with hiring, I believe we had 4 with Entigrity for doing tax, and then we added 2 more for bookkeeping, and then we added admin, and then expanded the bookkeeping. So now I believe we have 18 on the team there, and we have 36 US. So we're about 2-to-1 ratio, but with trying to bring on candidates, especially with all the people that are dropping out of the school programs and everything, we're talking about expanding our Entigrity team, just because that will hopefully create all of the more work that we need. We're buying technology. We're not backwards in any way, but we're buying the technology to move things forward as well. But like I said, I would say that it's worked smoother that way, and that anyone that is looking at doing it, one of the things that we found is smaller's not better. If you can get more of a team there for that cohesiveness, and also trying to get someone who's a team leader there, really helps in being able to move things forward, just like you would in the US. Generally, you have supervisors or managers that will help with departments and that type of thing, and we found that doing that worked. And just as a side note, coming over there to visit was awesome, and getting to see the team, even though we do a lot of video stuff, coming in person is really a way to connect. We brought on, the team, and one of the key things that we found was we don't say it is the India team or it's offshoring or anything. We changed to saying this is the Entigrity team, on being able to do that. And now it's just, this is the team, and they happen to be remote. And so it's made that migration through there for part of the culture. In the beginning, I think the biggest thing is there was a little bit of communication error, and then also that, for the team there was they always wanted to say yes, even if the answer maybe needed to be no. And so they would say, sure, we can do that. Sure, we can do that. And that also the things that we take for granted in the US sometimes aren't, known there. And so when we first started, it was, well, I do personal returns and someone else says, and I do business returns, but they didn't connect. And for us, we generally have our CPAs doing the business and the personal so that there's that cohesiveness and it goes out together. And so having those types of conversations really made it different, because if we had two different people preparing it, sometimes it didn't match. Not that the work wasn't there, but it wound up taking longer. And then they were talking so the personal was talking with a different US person than the business was talking to. So that made it tough. But I think that was probably the most challenging. And then also, again, every firm has its kind of core base of clients or the things that they do, and they start knowing that, and sometimes that wasn't communicated well. And so we talked, and I would do a lot of training with the team, as well as Todd. We would be talking about how we need to communicate. And it was the same with the US team for the new people, is that you have to give them 7 times. If they don't hear it 7 times, generally it doesn't stick. And so by doing that, it helped. Having admin was a huge bump in being able to help with that communication. Sometimes I think we get stuck with saying, hey, what's the least amount that we can spend, right? And so it's like, okay, I've got my team that's over there, and so they're going to do this, but by spending a little bit more and having some admin there, it really helped as well, which then led to having a team leader there. But I'd say the biggest bumps in the road were making sure the communication was clear, and also not assuming, and then, like I said, having admin come in too, so that we're able to help them be able to get the questions, because some have excellent phone skills and speaking skills, and others are a little harder to understand. And we found, like, sometimes our US team wouldn't say that they couldn't understand. They were just like, yes. And I said, you're blaming them for the same thing that you're doing to them. So, you gotta fix this. So anyways. I mean, I feel fortunate that, one, in the beginning we had Manish, who was just great. I mean, he was awesome in trying to expedite things. And then when Valance took over, the nice thing is we'd have a lot of conversations, not the whole team, just me and Valance, and we'd say, this, it's the vision that we wanted to do. Our vision still is we want to have 50 members of the team that happen to be at Entigrity. And the way we see it is we think that it can be a 2-to-1 ratio, when this is said and done, to be able to do that. But so I would talk with Valance and I'd say, hey, and Valance definitely is not a yes man. That's the great thing about him. He'd be like, no. Or, let me talk to people and stuff. And so we put sometimes it'd take 3 or 4 weeks for us having discussions, but we were pre-planning. It wasn't, I need someone today. Always, a couple of times I made that request to Lance, but normally it was, hey, in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks, can we find these people? Will you go out and start looking for the right people? Because we don't want them for a season. We don't want them temporary. We want them to be a permanent part of the team. And then he would do that. And then when Prakash came on, we were interviewing after he was interviewing, and then we just said, what are we doing? We wouldn't do that to our own people. So let Cash run with it and trust him. And, he's done a great job that way. Matter of fact, we just changed a team member so the trust hasn't been broken. I think that's an important level from all levels, whether Valance or Prakash or Ananya, they're doing what they say that they're doing, and that's helpful because you can't manage well. And for me, being a cheerleader, if you will, when things would go wrong in the past and that type of thing too, then they're like, I guess you were right, Rulon. So that's the thing that we learned. We don't need to talk to 15 or 20 people in doing that. That takes a lot of time, and that when it's narrowed down, and Valance would say, hey, we've got the 3 best or the 5 best candidates. That's kind of where we went with what are the top candidates that we were doing. And for us, we were relying that you guys had already picked out the skill level. We were just talking to them to find out, could we connect, right? And having, just like we would in an inner office relationship. And so I remember asking what their favorite movies were in the interview questions. And, and I connected great with the ones that would say, oh yeah, I love watching this. And there was a lot, when I came over, I got to play cricket. And they'd say they love playing cricket, and cricket was always boring. But when I got there, and I said, oh, that's pretty fun, thing to do. But we were able to connect and find something that wasn't just work related. And that really helps build the culture in being able to do that. And then having these video chats where we have the cameras on so everybody can see and do this. It really helps with that connection to know that you're going to be able to work long term with these people. Well, because we took on those extra returns because of our Entigrity team, right? On being able to do that, I told Sean, we're looking at, we think it's basically, we're going to generate $1 million of new revenue this year just from what we've done with Entigrity and allowing that to happen, which is pretty good. For most firms, they don't generate those types of growth numbers, especially if they're small or medium, in being able to do that. But the other thing I was going to say is that when you get there, I know Chris had told me, hey, this is a really secure place and everything, you don't have to worry. But I came back and said, geez, Entigrity should worry about us having security, because we've got just the little buzzer to get in, and I had to wear the neck thing, and for every floor and every place I went, Valance is like, nope, you got to scan in. And there was a couple places Valance couldn't get in, and they had to get somebody else. Now Sean was able to get in anywhere. I don't know how that worked, but it was. I was just shocked that in the same building that there was so much security that I just thought, wow. Especially in the summer, because I track these things, in doing that. And we had a 42% higher productivity rate from our Entigrity team than we did from our onshore team, and that's huge, right? I mean, and I haven't got the numbers because it's just November right now, but I think that we're looking at probably 30%. It's going to be better for the deadline in the productivity rates, and but we've had, and that's interesting, we've had zero problems with our connections with Entigrity. We have had, because we employ a cybersecurity firm as well, but clients' data, or people coming in trying to put their data in. We do a lot with Tax Caddy, and we haven't had problems with that. But when we were using our portal, we would get, when it was quarantine and that type of thing, but we had clients that had bad stuff that would mess with it. So we haven't had anything from that side. But like I said, it's just that security people, I don't know if they think that it's fast and loose, or there's just, a couple of guys in a hotel with laptops or whatever, but I mean, this was the full thing. And seeing it just changes the feeling of stuff being secure in there, and also the size. I mean, this is a huge building in a huge city, and they have other locations in there, but nobody felt like a number. That was the cool thing, that I got to participate in the Friday games, right? That they had, and the cool thing was I felt welcomed immediately by everybody, not just that. And I think, Ethan, you'll find the same thing, but it felt like I was already part of the team, and it went smooth. And I think that that's a real, kudos to Sean and his team for building that type of culture, because in India, that people have an opportunity to work other places too, and they're choosing to be there, and they're picking the right people. That I think makes a difference for us to have better picks. Yeah, the Philippines, we were stunned. I mean, this guy sounded like he was from Florida. I mean, and we brought him on, and we were using him for collections, just to make sure that we could get everything in a timely basis, because we don't like to have a big AR. And we had 2 people in our finance department that were making calls, and they, on average, had collected about $11,000 a week. And our guy in the Philippines, Ted, he was collecting $30,000 to $40,000. So the 2 people together were collecting 1/4 of what he was. He was an animal. He was just on the phone all the time, and that's the thing, is we were like, hey, we'll give him a bonus if he can hit 50,000 or 100,000. We'll give him a huge bonus in collecting in that. And they're just like, whoa. They settled us down on that, but we told Sean, hey, we think we might be able to take on 10 from the Philippines. And he said, now just wait, because we're going to be having some here in India as well. But wow, I mean, it was just great. There was no language barrier, and they're willing to work really hard. And it was, like I said, we were super excited about that. We got a little too excited, right? You guys had to calm us down, because just the performance was outstanding. So with 300,000 students withdrawing from the accounting program in colleges in the last couple years, changing their majors, and that either the AICPA or other industry magazines were expecting 136,000 shortages in there. But really, we just include that form in our engagement letter, so it's just there. It's part of the process. And again, we say that we're international and that we're trying to find the best people to do the job for them. And like I said, we literally haven't had one single person complain about it. And if they did, like I said, it would be deciding for us whether or not we would engage them, right? If it was a legacy client, we'd probably keep them, type of a thing. But all of our new clients, we're not doing that. We're trying to look right now, matter of fact, in figuring out how many to hire, because we're expecting probably an additional 700 returns for the 2023 tax, 2024 year. And so in picking the right amount of new team members, and so that Prakash has enough time to train them so that they're online and ready to go February 1st, because we've got about 500 that we do 100% of all their books and everything. So normally on February 1st, we can start preparing those returns. And when people worry about the downtime, that's what we actually try to take advantage of. So instead of saying, geez, we don't have anything after the deadline for Entigrity team to do, we found people who either they were late getting their stuff in, or they had other firms that said, sorry, we lost people, we couldn't do anything. And so now our whole team will be very profitable for us in that fourth quarter. And I think that's something that as leaders in our firms, we have to look and say, we don't want to have to coast those 3 months or just do it with consults. Now we have something that Entigrity can be profitable in and do what they do best. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents on how we've worked it.